Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Leadership and Politics with Dr. Abraham. I'm very excited to share my guest with you today, Dr. David Ulrich, a multi-talented thought leader in leadership, management, business, culture, HR, and organizational behavior. He is considered as the father of HR. He has published over 30 books. He is a professor of business at the Michigan State Ross School of Business, also the co-founder and principal of the RPL Group. Dr. David, welcome to the show.
What a delight, Abraham, to be with you. Thank you so much for letting me join you today.
It's an honor. Thank you for doing this. What I'd like to talk with you today is about the future of HR in the 21st century, especially in this uncertain time. Can you kindly, before we go there, can you kindly tell us a little bit about yourself?
You bet. That's a great question, and if it was my funeral, somebody would give a long soliloquy. I'm a professor at the University of Michigan in the United States, and have been there at the business school since before most people were born, since 1982. I'm a father of three. Here's a picture of our kids. We get to show pictures when we're in our home. That's beautiful mother, that's beautiful wife and father. Grandfather of 10, and happen to live in Utah to accommodate to some of my wife's professional interests, and enjoy learning. That's my passion, is to explore, to observe, and to learn about what's next, not to rediscover what's been, but to think about what's next. So
basically,
that's my passion.
Forward thinking.
I try.
Forward thinking, and in most of your books, you really advanced not only HR as we know it, but the whole business industry, business and management. So
you're very kind.
Thank you for that, sir. We appreciate you for whatever you've done and continue to do. You mentioned family, and I know you're a family man. How are you doing in this uncertain time? How are you coping?
Everybody I've found is different. Our children have children. So this is a child with children. She has two children. This is a son upside down. They have 5 children. This is another beautiful daughter with her children. They face it more difficult because their children are in school. They're now homeschooling. They're sheltered. My wife and I have very little to complain about. We live in a very nice home. We have autonomy. We're following the guidelines with some degree of rigor. Try to be safe with ourselves and with others. So we are actually doing quite well. Although it's the least I've traveled probably since graduate school at the university decades ago.
You're grounded in this time. I know
I
you're
am
a
grounded.
traveler. You travel millions and millions of miles.
I have been what's called an elite flyer, and on Delta and United, and I'm not now. I'm grounded with the rest of the world. But what I'm finding is normally we do conferences in person, so you'd fly to a conference.
Yes.
But it's fun to come into a home. And for example, you've got books on your shelf, you've got a flag. I get to see you and feel you, and you can see my office.
Yes.
I normally wouldn't have people in my office. I'm fairly private, but welcome to my office, and welcome. I get to show pictures. Oh, here's a fun one. This is a picture of a beautiful wife.
Your wife is Wendy.
That's Wendy.
Yes.
And these are granddaughters, each of whom is holding one of her books. My wife is a prolific author, and so that's a beautiful wife with books. So welcome to my home.
Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for coming to the show. I want your insights today, with your insights on everything to our audience. You mentioned your wife, and I know behind every great man is a woman. So our credits to her, and we appreciate her as well.
There she is again.
You published over 30 books. One of these books you published or you written with your wife. Tell me about the experience.
Somebody said the best way to find out if a marriage relationship will work is to wallpaper something. We didn't wallpaper something. We've created children and family, but we did a book together. It was actually a great experience. Wendy, I'll show you again just so that you can remember. Wendy is a very good psychologist. She has her PhD at the University of Michigan, and These are books she has published on mostly the intersection of religion and psychology.
That's beautiful.
About 15 or 16 years ago, we took an assignment for our church to run a mission in Montreal. One day we had a remarkable experience. I happened as the president to meet with a family from Haiti. They were immigrants. They were living in a disadvantaged area, a man, a woman, a couple of children. And I went to their apartment, and it was small, but there was something special about it. It had a spirit, it had an energy, it had a vitality, and it was just engaging and warm. That evening, we were at a house up on the hill, one of the mansions overlooking the city. We knock on the door. There's a butler. There's original art. It's a catered meal with about 10 people dressed up. And when we got in the car that night, we looked at each other and said, that meeting this morning with that family that was disabled had a spirit. It had a warmth. It had a feel.
To it. Yes.
The meeting tonight, I mean, exceptional food, art, conversation, erudite, but it was empty.
Wow.
What makes a difference? And for me, that's the work setting. And so we did a book called The Why of Work. How do you make work abundant? No matter where you work. It could be an office manager. It could be a laborer. It could be a construction worker. It could be a man who's an agent with SAG, who's brilliant. That's you. It could be a part-time teacher. How do you find this feeling of meaning and abundance no matter where you work? And we wrote a book about trying to discover that. Her from a psychology point of view, and me more from an organizational point of view.
All of that based on that experience you have.
That experience, I find experiences compelling because they capture, and again, you can almost envision the contrast on every dimension: poverty, wealth, warmth, cold. And it isn't about economic well-being. It's about the emotional and the social and the affect and the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And now, by the way, wealthy people can have feeling too. I don't mean to bemoan and belittle that. I mean,
we're all human beings. We have different.
We're all human beings. But it was just a remarkable thing. How do you bring that into a work setting? And how does work become a setting? Today, we've did that book a number of years ago. We now capture three things. How do you create a sense of belief? How do you give people meaning, purpose? How do you create a sense of becoming better, learning, growing, growth mindset? And how do you give people a sense of belonging? Believe, become, belong. And today, I think those three elements become part of what makes an organization powerful.
So with the belonging, you become empowered too. When you ask someone to be included, you empower them.
You know, and that belonging is so powerful. One of the dilemmas at this point in our lives, and you've got to look at the context, is we're isolated. We're in our house, you're in your office.
There's a physical distance, yeah.
There's a distance. And so it's difficult to belong, but you got to have fun. You got to go connect with people. When this started, and depending on where you are in the world, the issues were different. Where we are in the United States, it was toilet paper. There is no toilet paper. On one Sunday in March, or I think in April or May, we have only two of us, and we had enough toilet paper. So we went and bought a bag, and in every bag we put a roll of toilet paper and a bottle of water and a candy bar. We went out and we knocked on our neighbors' doors, and we stayed separated 6 feet.
Yeah.
And they opened the door and we said, "We are here to wish you a happy Sabbath. And here is the toilet paper we give you." And they looked at us like, "Are you weird?"
That was
But you know what?
Then.
It was. What was fun is one couple came back and they took the roll out of the middle, and about a week later they said, "Thank you, we used it." Stupid story, but it's
actually that's a good story. That's a story of sharing.
It's sharing, and it's what you said, and you highlighted, Abraham, a feeling of belonging.
Yes.
You know, we belong. We've shared toilet paper with you. What could be more personal? And I see that. I see our friends and our neighbors and our family trying to find ways to connect with each other. Believe, find common purpose, become better, grow, learn, and belong. Create a community, create a sense of community that draws us together. Those are the things we see in organizations.
So that was an individual effort or joint effort between you and your wife. Do you think, at least I'm observing in since we're going to talk about HR, do you think HR during that specific time was missing to take its role?
You know, I could take almost any function in a company, finance, legal, HR, technology, and I can find good and I can find bad examples.
Okay.
I think there are cases where HR was put in a new setting. For example, in March, April, when this happened in our part of the world, in the United States, everybody went home. Now, some of us have worked at home a lot, and we didn't understand how to work virtually. We felt distance, and there was discussion. Do you have the technology? Where do you sit? How do you comb your hair? That's not the issue.
That was a new
Now
thing.
learning that, and again, I'm doing this to be personal. I'm showing pictures. That's my
I
good
love it.
mother. That's my sister. That's her. Yeah, that's
Are
my
they
sister's
Are
brother.
they still with us? Everybody with us?
Yes. In fact, that's one of the reasons we're sheltering. Is my 92-year-old mother
God bless her.
lives nearby, and it would be horrible if she got sick. Are your mother and father alive?
So my mom, my biological mom and father, they're gone. But I have a second mom, an Asian beautiful lady.
Wonderful.
She's almost 80 now. July 29th is going to be her birthday. I've never shared this with anyone. For 3 years, I've been taking care of her. She's staying with me.
How sweet.
Yeah,
How
she's
sweet.
staying with me.
And I'm assuming you would be I would be devastated if my mom got sick because of me.
Exactly. I don't go to work because of her. So yeah, she's, as your mom is important. Moms are important.
Moms are important.
They provide meanings to life.
They do.
They provide meanings to life. Let me ask you this. There's a beautiful quote you have. You said, we fight wars with talented individuals. I'm quoting or rephrasing. We fight wars with talent / individuals, but we win war with organizations.
You know, you're in the movie industry. I love data that tells me a story.
Okay.
What percent of the time is the leading actor or actress? These are the individuals, the actors, the actresses, in the movie that wins the movie of the year. And the answer is 15%.
15 to 20%.
15%, 15 with men, and I think 20 with women. But it's about 15%. You got to have great actors, great actresses, and those that you may represent.
Yes.
Individuals matter, but the team they create matters even more. So what percent of time in sports is the man or woman who scores the most points on the team that wins? It's still 15%. Michael Jordan won 9 scoring titles. 3 times. He did not win the championship. Then he scored 29 points a game. Until his scoring dropped 20%, the team didn't win.
Yes.
The job of a leader is to make others better. So you got the individuals, you got the organization, and then you got the leader that pulls them together. In the movie world, how often is the leading, the outstanding director of the year in the movie that wins movie of the year? And it's
80%.
80%. They're the leader.
Yes. Yes.
So you got the actors and the actresses.
So the organization is behind him. The organization is behind him.
You got it. That's it. You got it.
So how do you develop this talent? Because when we say talent and human resources individuals based on talent, and these talents would lead the way. How do you develop these talents?
Great question. Great question. You know, there's a great debate in the literature that's been around forever. Is it nature or is it nurture? A few years ago, my son, let me show you my son again real quick. I think this is fun to see. This is beautiful son. This is my father who's passed away, Michael. So my father, this is my father. My father stood here, I was here, and my son was here, our son. I looked at our son and I said, Michael, you're going to grow up to look like your father and your grandfather.
That's beautiful.
And he looked at me and he said, Dad, that's horrible. I don't want to look like you. I mean, and by the way, that's a picture of my father that our children gave me, and that's my father. He's now passed away. That's him resting. That's more what I look like. It's a great book my children gave me for Christmas, and it's able to share. That's something my father drew. You know, and here's the research, and it's helpful. 50% of who we are, how we think, how we act, how we behave, is nature. I am going to become more like my father. You will become like your father, tragically, both who have passed away. But the other 50% is nurture. It's about 50-50. And so part of talent is nature. What's my predisposition? Nurture, what can I learn and what can I grow? And managing those two combinations becomes critical.
50% is that the innate quality?
That's the innate. That's the innate. That's,
And
by
then
the
the
way,
other one is it developed?
then the other 50
nurture,
can be developed.
nurture.
So do you ever find yourself, even if your father is gone tragically, do you ever find yourself looking in the mirror and once in a while, there's my father? I mean, and again, with love, I have great respect for my father.
Yes.
But that's 50%. But on the other hand, I'm not like my father. I have different skill sets. And our son, I hope, is not like his father or his grandfather. So that's kind of the that's the
Michael better be like his father.
no, he better be different from his father.
Why? What's going on there?
Oh, he's got some great gifts that I don't have. In fact, today we're doing some research. He has a PhD in statistics and math,
That's beautiful.
and I have a PhD and I love statistics. And he is very rigorous. And in fact, today when we were looking at some research, he said, "Dad, you're out of date. There is a new way to do the statistics," and he has great discipline and rigor, and I'm very proud of him and his family.
That's very beautiful and nice to hear. I'm sure in his own way, he is like you, and he wants to be you, but he's trying to be.
I hope he's more like his. I hope he's more like his mother. His mother has much better look.
You love your family. I
do.
see that. I see that. That's very nice, and that tells a lot about you. Not only a family man, but you brought this love of family to the society. Right? You are a person who served society in a way that is impactful. Now, HR in the 21st century, we have talent, we have culture, and we have leadership. How do you envision? What do you,
Great comment. Great
yes.
comment. First of all, let me reinforce and thank you for your ideas. You've got talent, that's the people. You've got culture, that's the organization. And you've got leadership that pulls those together. I think those are the three things. Let me tell you the assumption we come in with. When I do sessions, I love to start with a question, and it's a simple question. What's the most important thing that a business leader, an HR professional can give an employee? It's a very simple question. What's the best thing you can give an employee? And the answers are almost always around the three things I said: believe, meaning, purpose, become better, learn and grow, belong to a community, all of the above, or none of the above. And the answer is none of the above. The best thing a business or HR leader can give an employee is an organization that succeeds in the marketplace. Because unless and until you succeed in the marketplace, there is no workplace. And so one of the things we see with talent, organization, and leadership is how do you build the right talent, the right culture, and the right leadership so that you can be more likely to succeed in the marketplace. And so when I work with someone, I say, as we look at talent, are we hiring the people that will help us succeed in the marketplace? And success is not just greed. That's a horrible idea.
Yeah, definitely.
That's not it at all. But talent, leadership, and organization should all enable us to be more successful in the marketplace. We call that outside in.
Want them to go and look for customers, investors, shareholders, community, organizations. How do you want them? What do you want them to do?
Very simple. And I can tell a story and then give the research. By the way, I love research. I love statistics. I love research. The story is a fairly simple one, but it captures this with an image. Michael, dear son, completed his PhD. What would you like as a gift? I would like to take my family, he had 4 daughters at the time, to Disney World. Well, as soon as he said it, our daughter Carrie said, I want to go to Disney World with our 2 children. Our other daughter, Monica, I want to go to Disney World. So there's 16 of us. There's the son, there's the son-in-law, daughter, there's the grumpy grandpa, and I am grumpy because this is very expensive. We have 4 rooms, we have 3-day pass.
It's intense.
It's expensive, and I sweat a lot. I'm perspiring. I'm hot. We've got children in diapers and in strollers. And a woman comes up and says, "What a beautiful family," as we're taking this picture. "This is the happiest place on earth." Not for me. I was going to buy a new car, but I don't get a car. So we're going along. We walk into a room because there's a lot of us, and out walks Cinderella and Snow White. In this picture, this is one of my favorite pictures ever. I think this is Cinderella.
That is sweet.
These are my granddaughters. And they looked at her and they turned around and they said, "Grandpa, she's real.
Wow.
Grandpa, she's beautiful. Grandpa, thank you. We love you."
That made your day.
And it made my day.
Forget the car.
It made my day. And by the way, I got mad because I said, "We're going to have to do this again and again." And I still drive a car. The car I drive is from 2011 because instead of a car, we go to Disney World. Now, why do I say that story? Look at what Disney World has done. They have created characters, Cinderella, Snow White, Frozen, Elsa, that capture my daughters, my granddaughters, and that capture me. They have built talent inside that causes my granddaughters to have a great experience and their grandpa, who's paying the money, and grandmother to also have a great experience.
So
they are building talent from the outside in.
So they created culture too.
And the culture is so critical.
Yes.
Because and they charge a premium. We pay extra for the hotel room. We pay extra for the day at the at Disney World in Orlando. And we love it because they look at me and say, "Oh, Grandpa, thank you. We love you." That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Now, Disney is not accidental about that. They
Definitely
are
not.
very, very serious.
Definitely.
And their head of HR, Jane, has been there for about 8 years now. She thinks that through. This is what we need for talent, culture, and leadership in order to attract those customers.
Those customers. So what I see now as you envision this new HR department, I see you're combining several of the units we had before, whether it's marketing, whether it's customer service, whether it's public relations. When you envision these, do you create a new training, a new role for these individual HR individuals' talent, or do you diminish the public relations, customer service, and marketing? Do they still stay in their own position, or do you combine them with HR?
Great question. Great question. Thank you for asking. Frankly, I think HR professionals have to step up their skills. They have to be able to know the business. HR is not about HR. It's about helping a business succeed. And the HR people then have to partner with public affairs, with marketing, with branding, with advertising, with finance, with technology. And as partners, we become a better organization. So what do you believe about talent and people? I mean, you've done some incredible work on the disabled and caring for those who are in need and not as able to care for themselves. What do you see as the role of HR in helping those who are in need, physically or emotionally or spiritually, find a sense of meaning in the organization? What's your view of what HR should be doing?
I believe in your mission. I believe in what you're envisioning HR to do. Definitely creating talent to be able to give back to the organization and add value to the organization. That's a belief I share with you. I wouldn't add much more than the employee. I think the employee should be part of the equation. Because what you're envisioning and advocating for is for the HR talent to look outside to the customer, shareholders, community.
Nice.
And then what we forget is the actual employees. How are we empowering them? Where the individual employee, customer, and shareholders work together. You
Nice.
make the employee part of the equation because he is leading with that. And if I can push it back to you with Amazon, if you are the head for Amazon, and this is a message to Hazel, Mr. Bezos, we have the legend here. and he's going to give you an advice on how to change the culture of Amazon. Because I, in my classes, I talk about Amazon in case studies. But I hate to bring Amazon in because I don't like the way they treat the employees. How do you, the father of HR, what would you advise Amazon and Mr. Jeff Bezos to change the culture and improve the employees in their cultures? I want to be happy. I want to be happy. I want to use Amazon. I love the customer service, but I know in my mind here, in my heart, the employees are not treated well. How do you change the culture?
One of the things, and Amazon is a great case study. We did a recent book. It's called Market-Oriented Ecosystem, or Reinventing the Organization. And we used Amazon as a case study. My colleague Ram Charan just did a book on Amazon. One of the things that Amazon has done well is they have customer centricity at the heart of almost everything they do. So I work still with university students. A young man in May finished his semester, got a job in an Amazon warehouse part-time. I called Austin. I said, what's it like to work in a warehouse in Seattle? He went to Washington. And he said, Dave, it's interesting. For the first 2 days before we started work, we were given customer training. Who are the customers of Amazon? What do they expect? Now, let's be clear. I don't know if you buy from Amazon. I buy a lot from Amazon. I think the UPS truck doesn't need a driver. It just comes to our house every day automatically. Why do I buy from Amazon? It's convenient. It's easy. It's dependable. It's cheap.
And
so now,
customer satisfaction.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm satisfied with. Now, think about that. It's cheap, it's easy, it's predictable, it's convenient. What kind of organization do you need to make that happen? And here's the answer. Not as innovative as it is disciplined. Because when Amazon says, in fact, what did I get today? I just got some little things today from Amazon. I ordered these yesterday, and they said they will be there, whatever today is, Tuesday by noon.
And they are.
And they are. They've got to build an organization that is structured, that is disciplined, so that I can get the things I need. Now, Amazon also bought Zappos. The Zappos customers want creativity. They want innovation. Mm-hmm. So Amazon is trying, and I think Jeff Bezos actually has some good ideas about that. Build an internal culture that's aligned against what our customers are expecting of us. And when you do that, the customers will be happy, and over time, the employees will be. Not every employee is going to fit at Amazon. Isn't going to happen. Isn't going to happen. But some of those will. Not every employee is going to fit at Disney World. I don't know. I would not be a good actor or actress on the stage. This is a very talented woman who's playing Cinderella. But I think the Amazon story is fascinating. They try, even with their frontline employees who are part-time, to help them get a sense of customer value.
Do you think because Amazon is too large, Zappos, the philosophy of Zappos, the wow of Zappos, fail to change the culture of Amazon? Or it's absorbed by Amazon?
That's such a tricky thing, because what sometimes happens is companies grow, they become less flexible. The book we did called Reinventing the Organization, we looked at Amazon and Google and Facebook and Tencent in China and Huawei and Alibaba and Supercell. What we found is companies have a hub, which is the core of Amazon. It's your technology, it's your platform, and then they create spokes. So here's the hub and here's a spoke, Zappos, Amazon Retail, Whole Foods. What companies are doing today is they're not trying to build one culture that captures it all. They're trying to say, here's a hub and here's different pieces that are then connected to each other through some common values. We call that a market-oriented ecosystem. And that's what we get.
That's the premise of the new book.
That's the premise of the new book. And what you get then is you get different kinds of culture in the same company because they're operating with different customer expectations.
Okay. And customer expectation is a must.
I believe it is a must. If we don't succeed in the marketplace, let me say it again. If we don't succeed in the marketplace with our customers, there is no workplace. I mean, an organization doesn't have a divine right of survival. But when we treat our employees the way we would treat our customers, both of those can succeed. And that's what we're trying to do in our work in HR and leadership.
You mentioned the word discipline. With discipline comes authority. Do you think Amazon become or has become or becoming a centralized authority?
You know, one of the dangers is my friend says, good is the enemy of great. And we want to be great at some things. Let me add to my friend's comment. Great is the enemy of change. And one of the problems that I think an Amazon or a Facebook may run into is they're really great at what they do. And then they keep doing it. And they keep doing it. And the world changes. And good is the enemy of great. You don't want to be average. You want to be great at something. But great is sometimes the enemy of change. Because when we're very good at something, we don't want to change.
You maintain the status quo.
We maintain the status quo. And the world has changed. For example, before February of this year, and we're now into July, I had never done a video conference. So if we'd have done an interview, it would have been, because I don't like my face, I don't look good, I would have done it by voice. You know, I got to change. The world is now changed.
There's a story. I mean, you said you're private, but you're not private anymore. You just shared all your life in front of us. Okay? So the story will be told. It's better you tell it. That's the key. You have to tell your own story. Otherwise, people will tell your story. I used to be private as well. You had no photo of me. Now you see me everywhere. Every person I see, I take a photo of. Why? I'm creating my own story.
Nice.
And that's what we tell people. Do not be afraid to share who you are and what you do. Otherwise, people will tell who you are and what you do.
Nice.
And it may not be true.
So I'm going to ask you, Abraham, I want to learn from you and with you. One thing you've learned in the last few months with this global pandemic, one thing you've learned.
There are a lot of things I've learned, but it's something that resonates and something that I can share is to appreciate family. Appreciate the value of family.
Nice. Nice.
Value of connection, to become a human. It's true, what you see here on the screen isn't as when you talk to somebody in person, but it is also to connect. Connectivity, family, to give others. I wrote several articles on for leadership how to behave during this pandemic. I have several of them I published on Forbes. So I tell them to be empathetic. Use empathy as a force to connect with others and be in their shoes, especially leadership.
Nice.
You know. Well, how about you? How about you? What did you have?
You know, it's interesting. I post frequently on LinkedIn. Every Tuesday I post an article. Last Tuesday I posted an article and I said, I'm confused with this pandemic because I see some responding, some not responding, changing, not changing. What does that mean if I give leaders advice? And the first thing I would advise a leader is to don't start with your head, start with your heart. Start with empathy. Start with caring.
We have something in common there.
Yeah. Start with your heart because everybody's affected differently. And if we can connect with people at an emotional level, that's Psychological Safety by Amy Edmondson and emotional intelligence. But if we start with our heart, the head will follow. And I think sometimes leaders love to give ideas.
If we have a level there, because some leaders, they really don't give that. What happened?
And I'm learning that that's so critical. I posted this morning, a few hours ago, there was a meeting where we live, and the head of the school district, actually it was the governor of the state, declared the decision about schools starting in 6 weeks. And there was an uproar. Everybody was mad. Somebody said, what should he have done? And I think he should have started with his heart and said, let me tell you what I care about. I care about you, the teacher who's in the room. I care about you, the single mother who can't work if she's watching her children. I care about you, the young couple who are both working and have children at school. I obviously care the most about your children and their hearts. I care about you. And so we've been struggling to figure out what's the best thing to do with school. There is not a right answer today. If there was a right answer, we'd do it. But
if we ask them, what do you think? That's all.
Absolutely.
All he thinks.
What do you think?
Ask for feedback.
And then, you know, this is the process I've used. I've collected data. I've looked at your needs, and I've looked at it, and I've struggled. And here's the decision I've made, and you won't all like it, but I'm making it to manage what you need to have done. Many leaders aren't doing that. They're saying, there's a decision, I'll make it. Wrong, 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 wrong. Start with the process. Going to make it. Who's involved? How do we show empathy?
How we show empathy and compassion, and lead with empathy and compassion. That's very good. So the last question on the topic: what do people in HR should do now? They can't. The status quo is gone. You maintain yourself in the status quo, you stagnate. If Amazon stays in the status quo, several years later, it's not going to be at the helm anymore. Yeah. They're going to stagnate. They're going to just lose their status as a firm. The same thing. That's on the macro level. On the micro level, small department, our department. If they maintain the status quo, they will also not add value to the company, and the company will not achieve as it could be or it should be. What's your message to HR professionals?
You know, I'm gonna use our interaction as an example. I ask you a question, which was dangerous. What have you learned? Do you remember your response? I've learned so many things. If I were advising HR people, I hope that's their first response. I have a belief, 5 words. The best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. I would advise HR people, business leaders, marketing, public affairs, finance. Are you learning? Are you growing? Are you thinking the best is always yet to come? And I think your response was wonderful. I've learned so many things, it's hard to pick one. That's a great HR person. It's a great business leader. It's a great professor. It's a great SAG, member of SAG. It's a great business entrepreneur. The best is yet to come because I'm constantly learning and reinventing.
You have an article, it's called Are We There Yet? Tell me about it.
That's the content. I don't know if you ever remember driving with children. Dad, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And the answer is we're never going to get there because there's always another there. The best is always yet ahead. And I hope that's where we are.
The best is yet to come. You shared so many photos with us today.
Thank you.
A beautiful family, and I hope they would see it and they see your love to them. It's very intriguing talking to you. Thank you for sharing your insights.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. It's an honor. I hope we can do this again. There are a lot of questions I have in mind. We covered a little. So the envisioning HR in the 21st century is do not stagnate. Think outside the box and be different. And help the community, help your organization, add value, and be the best you can. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.